Hey guys, welcome to my WrestleMania 39 previews and prediction, or basically preview prediction show, not episode, but video. Where I give you my take on WrestleMania, and I was going to originally do this a couple of days ago, but decided to wait a little bit, mostly because of the fact that I wanted to make sure we got the lineups, back. Not the lineups back, but we officially got the lineups for each night corrected, if you will. And the reason I say that is because mainly I want to make sure we know what matches are happening on certain nights, so we can be ready for them. And if I can find it here, if I can find the lineups here, if you will. Let's see what we got here. Hold on. I know it's here somewhere. And I do apologize for any interruption. My mom is watching a movie right now, knowing her. She likes to knock on my door and talk about it a little bit. So I apologize for that. But yeah, let me see if I can find that. I know they posted. I know they posted, and that was just a message I got. I know they posted the lineups here somewhere. ESPN actually talked about it yesterday morning. They actually revealed it yesterday morning. On First Take. Let me just take that down for a second. Let's see. Let me see if I go to JD. I mean JD, but the Twitter, and I think Twitter has it mainly. But I'll provide them up here. I'm probably going to put this through the production process, if you will. And everything. So anyway, let's go through the images here. Might have to look through media. And here we go. Here's the lineups. Alright. So first of all, and I don't know what that was about. It says I lost connectivity. That was weird. I don't know what that was about. And of course it's going to load. I do apologize for that. I don't know what it is. Just likes to do this at times. And it's about 5:33, so I do apologize. But once I get a chance to get this going again, I will. I don't know what it's doing. Hold on. Alright, sorry about that, guys. My computer decided to, I guess, suddenly do a not responding on Twitter when I was trying to download the images that you're going to see up here for WrestleMania, if you will. Especially for the cards, basically, and how they'll be happening. First of all, let me make sure the mic is on here. Okay. And again, like I said, I do apologize for any interruptions that may occur. But anyway, first of all, before we start, I want to give a shout out to all the participants competing in various wrestling events right now as we speak in the Los Angeles area during WrestleMania weekend, because some of them have to wrestle or are scheduled to wrestle and compete not once, not twice, but 3 times a day. Yeah. For example, yesterday, Speedball Mike Bailey wrestled, I think, 3 or 4 times? Yeah. He wrestled at GCW's Bloodsport, Bloodsport 9, I think? Josh Barnett's Bloodsport 9. I think he wrestled I don't know what else he wrestled for. He did another event, I think for Warrior Wrestling, I believe. And then he did Multiverse, what is it? Impact Wrestling Multiverse, if you will. Yeah, Multiverse, I think that's the name. Hold on for a sec. Let me double check here. And apparently there was a bit of a disconnect going on, but let me check here. Here it is, Multiverse United 2023. Yeah, he wrestled there too, and I think, like I said, I think he did one or two more events outside of those yesterday, and I think he's competing today as well. And Vicano, Elhidio Vicano, I think competed earlier today. I'm not really sure, but he just competed and defeated Commander. That's Commander with a K, in the opening match for Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor 2023. He beat him to retain his AAA Mega Championship, and now he's going to go later on and compete basically at GCW. I think it's a GCW event, right? It's going to compete at a GCW event later today, or by the time you watch this, or tonight, later tonight, or whenever you do watch this. So he's gonna, take part in that. He is taking part in that. So if you're there, and you're expecting Commander Vicano to be at his best, he will be. But I think that's why I think that's why a lot of these talents are doing these opening matches, or these matches and all that, during like 0 hour for Supercard of Honor that was free on YouTube and stuff. They're doing it mainly because of the fact that they have other commitments to make later that day. So that's why you're seeing a lot of these matches being placed with these certain talents at certain periods of the event, because they got to go and compete, probably within that same building, in that same ring, rope changes and all, for another event. So yeah, my hats go off to those men and women that are doing these multi bookings and multi performances, all across the board, if you will, and all that. Now, as far as WrestleMania goes, they did show the stage. I think the stage looks tremendous and all that. I think the stage looks great. There's no doubt. So I'm really happy about that. I think they got some of the stages up here as well. Let's see. I think they did show the stage here on Pro Wrestling World. I'm not really sure. Oh, here it is. Yeah, they showed some of the stage. Yeah, he did everything, and I think Alex, even just Alex of Alex's World, even talked about it. Said he basically said that if there's one thing he'll always be positive about when it comes to WWE, it's the presentation of the WrestleMania stages. So yeah, they basically showed off the stage today, showed off the set. Well, not today, but yesterday, and it looks really good. There is no doubt in my mind it looks really good. I thought when we were seeing like the progress of the stage being built that the wrestlers were going to have to come down the stairs that they have there, but nope. It's going to be a platform they come down, and it's just set up, as they mentioned, basically as a, as a hybrid, like a hybrid of a movie theater. Like you're entering a movie theater with all the movie poster, moving poster, like pictures or images they have with the superstars. So yeah, it's so yeah, it definitely looks really good. There's no doubt about that. It looks really, really tremendous and all that. So yeah, I do agree. This one thing we always can be positive about with WWE when it comes to WrestleMania is they're always going to have top-notch productions for their for the WrestleManias and everything. So, can't wait to see what we get here. Now, the other thing I do want to talk about real quickly is today news came out through various sources that Vince McMahon is basically back. Well, he's been back basically, but that he is now signed, that he is basically back for the next, as an employee, executive chairman employee, if you will, of WWE for the next 2 years. And this, of course, did not sit well with a lot of people like JD and Alex and others, who always have this belief that he's just, that basically there's a bigger, I guess you could say that they feel that there's a bigger, bigger motivation behind Vince, coming back the way he did. And we're starting to see all these reports and everything. And the one thing across the board that a lot of them have pretty much, said in common, in their own way, is they believe Vince is trying to get back into power, not just get back full control and power of everything, but that he wants, that what they're truly afraid of is he's going to try to, slowly, bit by bit, and basically eventually put himself back in charge of creative and booking. And, I stick by what I said yesterday, and I do appreciate, first of all, I want to say thank you for all the views that video has gotten. That video came out hours after I did the AEW Tony Khan one, and basically right now, I just refreshed my page here. Right now it's at 558 views, and it's not even been 24 hours since I posted it, so I thank you guys for that. And it's not just because I linked it on Twitter and Facebook and everything. I think it's mainly because, of what the title of the video said. I mean, the title of the video I put here was, "You say don't take what Moxley says out of context," what John Moxley said during his appearance on his wife Renee Parquette's Oral Sessions podcast recently about the CM Punk AEW situation, the drama there. I said, "You say don't take what Moxley says out of context, then don't do the same with Nick Khan on ESPN." Because a lot of people are taking what Nick Khan said on ESPN and various other places he's been, making the media rounds for WWE on, as a guest. They've been taking a lot of what he says out of context. He goes on a podcast and also on First Take and says that Vince is not that involved with creative. They're taking what he says about Vince being the one that truly runs WWE, and that's what Nick Khan said basically on First Take. They're taking that all out of context as their own way of saying, well, Vince is back, he's going to ruin everything, da. So I basically said in there, look, don't make yourself look like hypocrites by preaching one thing 24 hours prior and then doing the exact opposite, 24 hours later. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just come out and see how you truly feel. And if coming out and saying, look, I know in people's eyes or, from people's mindsets, like with JD from NY206, a lot of people feel he obsesses over Vince being back and everything. He's become obsessive. He's letting it live rent free in his, as I put it, he's allowing it to live, rent free in his head and everything. And hold on for a sec. And basically, by letting it live rent free in his head, to a lot of people, he's becoming obsessive over it. He's letting it ruin his enjoyment of the product. He's letting it ruin his enjoyment of WWE. In the positive strides they're trying to make now. They basically feel that his obsession over Vince crawling back in and all that, is ruining everything for him and those that follow him and all that. And yeah, JD's the kind of guy that will tell it like it is and everything. But what was I saying? I got distracted there for a second. But yeah, people are saying that, that he's, that he's obsessed with it and everything and all that. And what I said in response to somebody that basically pointed that out as well recently, as of today actually, I told this person, and I think the name was Hardy Party, I think that's what the name was. Hardy Partily, I think. Hold on for a sec. I think it was Heartily Partily. Let's see. I know it gave me a notification. Here, Hardy Party 37 to 40. This is what I said in response to his reply, because he basically said he was one of the people. He's at, his Twitter handle is at his Twitter handle is at Troy the Boy underline. He has, his response is, why are you obsessed with this? The product has been good until it's confirmed he's fully running creative, just chill. Now here's my response to Hardy Party, to Troy the Boy. I said, and I quote, because of what Vince did in the past creatively, and the fear of it happening again is living rent-free in his mind. And it's the same for a lot of people. That's why, they take what, they're doing the exact opposite of what they told people not to do about Moxley's comments on his wife's podcast. They're taking what Nick Khan said about Vince McMahon being the one running the company and not being that involved with creative. They're taking it out of context because of the fear that he might find a way to get back into creative, and everything just will be, that Triple H has been building up with his crew, will be for naught. Now, one thing JD did say in response on Twitter, because somebody was calling him out about it, was, something I feel he needs to say. And that is the fact that he just needs to express, to people that watch his off the scripts, live streams, his reviews, or his OTR extra live streams or recordings. He needs to emphasize what he said to this one person on Twitter, that all he's doing is expressing how he feels. And that's the key thing there, the key words there, how he feels. And if he just comes out and says, hey, what I'm saying here is how I feel about it, and nothing's going to change my mind about it, that's fine. At least you're letting us know, hey, that's your opinion, and you're going to stick to it no matter how much people want to disagree with you. And that's fine. That's all you have to do. That's all JD has to do. But basically, getting back to the point here, again, it was reported by the SEC filing that Vince is locked in as a WWE employee as executive chairman for the next 2 years. And how this affects any potential sale of the company in the next coming months is anybody's guess. Some are saying that, Vince, did this. Well, not some are saying, but some are going to assume Vince made this happen, so that way whoever buys the company, whether it's Comcast, Endeavor, whoever, if it's the Saudis, who I still believe the PFI group, that Public Investment Fund group, I think are consist of Saudi people that, are more up to date, are more willing to progress and not stick to the old ways that the country is known for, and are more willing to, let things be as they are. Again, to me, it doesn't. Basically, people are assuming Vince did this because of no matter who would buy it, they'd have to stick with him, as the executive chairman for at least another 2 years. But I think what some people seem to forget is, since he's being listed as an employee, even as executive chairman, whoever buys the company, if anybody does, it doesn't ensure he's going to be chairman for those 2 years. Let's say, Comcast buys it, Amazon buys it, or whoever. And one thing other people seemingly are not realizing too is, when you have a transaction of this magnitude, for the asking price that Vince is wanting for it, which is $9 billion, a transaction of this magnitude takes time. Yes, someone could put in the winning bid and buy the company, but it doesn't mean they fully own it yet. It takes a lot of X's and O's and all that to basically finalize it until it's done. That's basically what it is. Some transactions take a lot quicker, to finalize than others. Like HBO, like Discovery, buying Warner Brothers. That took about, a year, maybe a couple of months, 6 months, a year to finalize that transaction. For all we know, if let's say ESPN through Disney, buys the company, who's to say that's not going to take another year or two to complete the transaction, because there's a lot involved in, in seeing through who buys the company, like making sure all the X's and O's are, like I mentioned, crossed off, making sure, like I said, making sure all the X's and O's are crossed off, making sure there's not any loose ends, here and there. That basically when the transaction happens, it happens in a clear state. And if they find anything related to Vince and what he's gone through, they may say, look, we don't want nothing to do with WWE, because the person that's going to stay here, for the next 2 years is poison. So we have nothing to do with it. And maybe that's why, and some people will make the assumption, maybe that's why Vince is now under the listing as an employee and as, as chairman for the next 2 years. Because it ensures that even though a sale could potentially happen, maybe not within this year, but within the next couple of years, that at least being in this position of power, he'll still have final say in whatever transactions or media rights and stuff like that occur. Now again, like I said, a lot of people took this out of context. Again, just like what Nick Khan said and everything, they take this out of context. And a lot of people are trying to calm them down, say, look, of course he's an employee of the company. Of course he's with the company. He never left. Or, of course he's, with the company. It's like, what makes you think he wouldn't be, and everything? Or what makes you think, he wouldn't be with the company and stuff like that, Or he wasn't still with the company when he stepped down. It's basically an example, and I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday in the video, but it's basically an example of, just because the owner of a company may hang it up and everything, doesn't mean they give up ownership. They're just assigning somebody else to take the position they were in. Whether it's a chairman or chairwoman or chairperson, whatever. They are assigning that person to that position. But in reality, they still they still own the company. So that in a way, even in retirement, they still have a say. They still have a say. So, to me, I think that's why people get this little convoluted, too complex, too out of context, if you will, with what's going on. Because of what I mentioned earlier. It's what JD is letting live rent-free in his head. It's what Alex is letting live rent-free in his head, and others. It's the fact that they're afraid of what Vince did in the past creatively is going to make a return once again. That's what they're afraid of, and they're not thinking, outside of it. They're not thinking, you know what, that's what I fear is going to happen, but you know what, I could be wrong. Maybe that's not going to happen. Maybe I'm just overthinking, overanalyzing things. And that's all they have to do. And and again, like I mentioned earlier, like JD said in response to somebody, all they have to do is say, hey, what I'm saying here is how I feel. You don't have to agree with it, but it's how I feel. And that's it. That's all they have to say. It's like how I feel. Like if I was to tell you right now, that despite losing yesterday to the New York Yankees on opening day, that the San Francisco Giants would go undefeated for the rest of the season, even though I know that's not true, I would be saying that because that's how I feel. Alright? I say that because that's how I feel about the situation. I'm not saying it's because, I'm right and everything, and watch me be right and everything, No, I'm saying that because that's how I feel, how I see it happen, how I see it happening in a way. And that's all they have to do. That's all they have to do. Just come out and say, this is what I'm saying here is how I feel about it. You don't like it, that's fine. That's it. That's it. And to me, I think that's what JD and Alex and Solomon have to do from now on. They don't want these people on their back, getting on them, criticizing them, saying they're part of the toxicity of, the wrestling community fan base. Then all they have to do to keep that off their back, or get that off their back, if you will, is just say, hey, what I'm about to say, or what I have said here, or what I'm about to say when it comes to this topic, or what I have said here, when it comes to this topic, is how I feel. That's all you have to, all they have to do is just say how I feel. And I guarantee you, it will get a lot of people off their back. Maybe not a lot, but it'll still get people off the back, because at least people will look at that and be like, okay, we understand now, that's how you feel about it, but not how we feel about it. You know, it's basically, it's their own way of saying, this is my opinion. Period. But yeah, Vince apparently, according to the SEC filing, is an employee, you know, as listed as a WWE employee, as chairman for the next 2 years. You know, and I think, again, one thing people are not taking into perspective is there are rules and stuff that Vince cannot violate. And that includes going beyond what he's agreed to be there for. And that's basically to oversee the sale of a company, you know, and potential TV rights deals. Now, I will say this, and this is the last thing I want to talk about before I get into the preview. I will say this. I'm not disagreeing, okay? I'm not disagreeing with the fact that maybe Vince isn't trying to influence creative by extension. And what I mean by extension is, even though Bruce Pritchard is sitting side by side with Triple H, you know, in Gorilla, you know, with a headset on and anything, you know, okay, what was it? Let me write there. I was lost track. I'm a little distracted here. Let me write there. But like I was saying, I will agree. I will agree. Even okay, let's track there. Hold on, let me pause for a second. Okay, sorry, I almost got a little tongue-tied there. But like I was saying, I will agree. This is the last thing I want to talk about before I get into the preview. I will agree that even though Vince legally cannot be a creative, because it'd be violation of his agreements with the SEC and such, it doesn't mean he doesn't have an influential say in creative, especially by extension when it comes to the likes of Bruce Pritchard. Because Bruce Pritchard, even though he's sitting side by side with Triple H, you know, in Gorilla with a headset on, that's what I was trying to get at before I got a little distracted and tongue-tied. Just because he may be sitting at, you know, in Gorilla with a headset on alongside Triple H, it doesn't mean, and I will give credit a little bit here, it doesn't mean that Vince isn't probably calling him up, you know, before Raw, during the week, before SmackDown, days before Raw, whatever, and, you know, feeding him information, saying, if Triple H gives you the power to book a match or a couple of matches here and there, and the finish, do it this way, do it this way, do it this way. In other words, you know, I will admit that maybe Vince, finding a sneaky way around it, is telling Bruce, book it the way I would, do it the way I would, do it the way I would, do it the way I would. And that's why maybe we're getting a little bit of those Vinciums, as they call it, or Vinciums, if you will, spread throughout Mania with certain matches and build-ups and all that, because it's not Triple H that's doing it, because you can tell when Triple H has the right people, you know, booking, you know, the shows and all, or booking certain matches and storylines. You can tell who's helping out in that area. But you can also tell the difference when it comes to maybe Bruce being given the ball to do certain things and all that, and maybe that's what's going on. That's what I think. I mean, if you want to say Vince is back creatively, you know, in a way, you have a right to say that, but I think, and I will give JD credit here, at least he and others are starting to probably see, because there are pictures popping up that it's just Bruce and Triple H. I think, you know, they're starting to realize that, yeah, Vince is back creatively, but he's doing it, you know, from a different location. Like, we hear the reports Vince is on a regular schedule now, right? A regular work schedule? Okay, fine. Who's to say Vince isn't at home when on his off hours calling Bruce up and saying, Bruce, I want you to do the Brock Lesnar Omos match. I want you to book it no matter what the situation. And I want you to book it like this. Or, Bruce, did he put you in charge of the Becky segments and all that? Good. Call up Trish and Lita. I need this. You know, I'm not saying, I'm not saying basically that's true. But if I was to point the finger at anybody, and I think I mentioned this in a previous video, I would point it at Bruce, because Bruce probably is getting notes and information from Vince to book it in a way, to book what he's allowed to book, you know, and everything creatively and all that from beginning to end in a way Vince would do it. So that's what I'm thinking. So I will say that, you know, if Vince is back in some capacity, if Vince is back creatively in some capacity, it's not because he's there physically. It's because he's having Bruce be the one that, you know, is, you know, putting his ideas to paper and everything, you know, without Vince being there. And I think a lot of people are starting to see that. And maybe, hopefully after Mania, Triple H will see that too, depending on what matches Bruce may have booked and everything from start to finish. For that, maybe Triple H will start seeing that as well, if not already, and probably take Bruce aside and say, look, I know what you're doing. I know Vince is in your ear. I'm the boss creatively now. You listen to me. Maybe he's going to take him aside and tell him that. Say, hey, stop listening to Vince. He's not in charge. He's not creatively in charge. I am. You do what I say. And maybe that's what happens. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, you know, I will say, and again, this is the final thing I'm going to say before the preview. You know, I will say that if Ben, you know, I will say that if you're going to put the blame on anybody, if you're going to put the blame on anybody, you know, for, you know, it seemingly being that Vince is back creatively, I say put it on Bruce. I say put it on Bruce, because I think, and again, like I mentioned, I will agree with this. If there's a reason why we're getting Vince-like vibes going into Mania when we shouldn't, and why we're seeing a downgrade on Raw when we shouldn't, under the Triple H regime, it's because Bruce Pritchard. It's Bruce Pritchard. And a lot of people have said that Bruce has to go, because they probably knew something like this would happen. Like, even if Vince won't be there, doesn't mean Vince isn't trying to influence it. And he's doing it through Bruce. So you know, so I will agree with that. I think that if you're going to put the blame on anybody, last thing I want to say, if you're going to put the blame on anybody for the booking, you know, and everything that seems very Vince-like, put it at Bruce's feet. Put it at Bruce's feet. Now, with that said, I know it seemed a lot convoluted, because like I said, I'm a little distracted. My mom's off today. It's Caesar Chavez Day, and it's an early unofficial start to spring break, so things are going to be a little more confusing, so I do apologize. But anyway, with that said, let's get into our WrestleMania preview. Alright guys, so let's get into WrestleMania, if you will, if I can get the card here, for example. And yeah, I think most of these, so I have some that are different, but most of these are listed. So yeah, so let's take a look at essentially night one of WrestleMania. Again, you'll see it pop up here. The match that's going to open WrestleMania is John Cena versus Austin Theory for the United States Championship. I know when they showed the lineups for each night that people got confused by Theory and Cena being sort of like the focal point of night one. First of all, that's not going to main event. I know people feared that. And second of all, you know, it's because John Cena is a huge name. So you want to highlight the first night of Mania with a huge name. And Theory, not Theory, but Cena is a huge name. Let's be honest. But the match has been building for a while. There was talk about it originally happening at SummerSlam last year. It didn't happen. And now it's happening. And I'm glad it's happening now, because you gave Austin Theory enough time to basically get rebuilt, if you will, be the Austin Theory that I think we all knew he could be, like the one we saw in Evolve and all that. So yeah, I'm kind of glad they, you know, took their time with this, rebuilt it. The outcome, I think, should be Austin Theory beating Cena. How he does it, people are saying it could be clean. You know, if it's a clean victory, hey, you can't you can't certifiably stamp someone as the future of your company more than that. You know, especially over someone like John Cena. But you know, yeah. So, but yeah, first of all, I'm gonna go Austin Theory all the way. I like Cena. You know, I would be happy if he won, because that way, if he does an open challenge at least for one night the following Monday on Raw, you could bring out someone like Braun Breaker, and Braun Breaker could beat him and become United States champ on his first official night on the main roster. So they could do that too. But yeah, right now I'm going to go with Austin Theory. I think the match is going to be a good opener for Saturday night or tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a great opener. You know, I think, you know, Austin Theory is going to, you know, John's going to allow Austin Theory to really shine here. So yeah, I'm going to, but yeah, overall, outside of that, I think Austin Theory wins. If he does it cheating wise, I do agree that we might get, you know, John giving Austin his comeuppance for cheating by doing an AA and everything, and, you know, leaving that way, you know, leaving to a pop at the end, giving, you know, the fans at SoFi a feel good moment right off the start. The other match for night one, from what I can tell, will be Seth Rollins and Logan Paul. This match I think is going to be great. Logan Paul, I will agree, despite how you feel about the dude, has been on a roll, per se. He's been on a roll, you know, athletically. He has only lost one time since he's been in WWE, and that's to Roman. So I'm thinking this is going to be his second loss. I mean, they honestly have protected Logan very, very well, in a way. Injuries or not, they've protected him very, very well. So I'm going to go with Logan Paul losing to Seth Rollins, and this being his second loss in WWE. Because you got to remember, before he faced Roman, he was undefeated, you know, in WWE. So I think he's done what is he like done? I think this is going to be his fourth match or something. You know, I mean, yeah, he was eliminated in the Rumble, and I don't think you really count that as a loss. But you know, individually, you know, undefeated wise, well, not undefeated wise, but win-loss wise, I have to say that, yeah, he's 2-1. So I think after Mania, he's going to be 2-2. So yeah, I think they'll have a great match. I mean, both men can go. They can really go. There's no doubt. Like I said, Logan Paul has really surprised people by learning what he's, you know, has, and adjusting to, you know, the WWE style of, you know, competition, probably more seamlessly than anybody expected him. So overall, though, I think in the end, Logan Paul is going to lose to Seth Rollins, and we're going to see it happen in a way that, you know, basically makes you think, oh my God, that he can cuss him, you know, for real. You know, that he pretty much ended his career. Because I got a feeling we're going to get that kind of a spot with Seth before Seth pins and beats Logan 1-2-3 at SoFi. The other match, which is going to be on night one, from what I understand, is Trish Stratus, Lita, and Becky Lynch against Damage Control, which consists of Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. This match I think will be good. I mean, obviously, Lita didn't look so well in her tag team win with Becky, but a couple weeks ago. But I think honestly, you know, she's gonna make up for that here. I think her, Becky, and Trish are really going to, you know, give Damage Control all they have, and I think Trish and Lita are going to show that they can, you know, outside of that one night, if you will, I think Lita and Trish are going to show that they can still go in that ring. I mean, honestly, when you see some of the previous performances outside of, like I said, Raw a couple weeks ago, you wonder to yourself, why did they even retire? These ladies can still go and everything. They can still go. And, you know, I don't disagree with that. So I think it's going to be a great match. Damage Control, you know, say what you will about them. They're trying to be, you know, a threat. They're trying to find something for them and all that. But I think in the end, what this is inevitably leading to, and a lot of people have pretty much felt the same way, is it's leading towards a babyface turn. That's what I see happening. I think the overall, if there is a story to this with Damage Control, the story is Bayley is trying to find herself. From what I can tell, I think the whole thing with Damage Control is Bayley wants to prove that she is on the same level as the other 4 horsewomen. And that's why she's got this group together. She wants to prove that she's just as good. She's just as good as an in-ring competitor, just as good as a leader, stuff like that. And I think the overall consensus at the end of this story, if it's part of the story, is Bayley just has to, be herself. That's all she has to be. She just has to, be herself, and and success will follow her. So I think in the end, we're going to have Damage Control lose this match, and we are going to have Dakota and Io turn on Bayley, and that's going to cause a Bayley heel turn. But I can also see a double turn happening as well, because there are reports that Trish is going to turn heel. It wouldn't be the first time she's turned heel at WrestleMania, because we've got to remember she did it back at WrestleMania 20, so it'll be the first time in what? Be the first time in what? 23 years? Oh, not 23 years. 19 years, almost 20 years. So, yeah, it'll be the first time in 19 years. Here's that she does it, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Damage Control losing, and I'm looking at the fact that it's gonna lead to a Bayley face turn, probably at Mania, because I can't think of any other place for Damage Control members Io and Dakota to turn on her, and thus have Bayley turn face. And heck, who knows? Maybe we'll get a double turn during that turn. Like, here comes Becky, Lita, and Trish to help her, and then Trish stabs both of them in the back, and she's the new leader of Damage Control. Who knows? But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm definitely going to go with Trish, Lita, and Becky winning the match. Let's see what else we have here. Okay. See, oh yeah. Okay, before we get into that, I think, we'll go over here. We'll go to the, trying to make sure, don't miss anything. Okay, we'll do with this one. Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I am basically of said mind, and I mentioned this to Alex about a month ago or so when, Rhea made her choice, that she's got to do to Charlotte what Brock Lesnar did to Cena almost 10 years ago at SummerSlam. And that's just steamroll. Just obliterate Charlotte in the ring. She has to do that. She has to do that to solidify the fact that not only is this her time, but she is basically, as some people are hoping or projecting, even Kofi Kingston saying this, she is the next coming of China, of Joni Lauren. Because, even Kofi looks at her like, yeah, this girl should be competing for men's championships in the future. It's the way they're presenting her. So I think because of that presentation for her, I do agree with what I mentioned to Alex, and Alex and others have kind of said the same thing. She has to steamroll over Charlotte during this. She has to obliterate Charlotte. Take all the chops you want, take all the natural selections, shrug it off and be like, is that all you got, bitch? And then beat the hell out of her. Charlotte needs to basically do the right thing here and let Rhea obliterate her. Let her obliterate her and walk out with that SmackDown Women's Championship. And from a storyline perspective, you can have Charlotte go away, once again, and maybe realize, hey, maybe I'm not as good as they say I am, and maybe it's because I've had all my championships, practically handed to me. You can insert a bit of realism in there to where Charlotte could acknowledge, what? I shouldn't have been a 14-time world champion, as quickly as I did, or quickly as I became, because I'm not as good as I say I am. And maybe you could have her, let's say, forfeit a majority, or have majority of her reigns voided out, so that way she can rebuild it the right way. You can do a storyline that way. And like I say, inject some realism, but I think that all has to begin with her doing the right thing and allowing Rhea Ripley to annihilate her at WrestleMania. That's when it begins. So yeah, I'm going Rhea Ripley here, and I'm looking at it being similar and identical to Lesnar doing what he did to Cena at SummerSlam. Alright, so next up for night one, we have the men's Fatal 4-Way Showcase. Braun Strowman, Ricochet versus the Street Profits. Okay, so we got the men's Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match. It's Braun Strowman and Ricochet versus the Street Profits, Alpha Academy, and the Viking Raiders. This, a lot of people are projecting, is going to steal the show, despite maybe not really having any, goal, at the end of the tunnel. But I think it does. I think it's a shot at the undisputed title, because why do a showcase match like this if you're not going to have, some reasoning behind it? So, to me, I think honestly, whoever wins this needs to be the next ones in line for the tag team titles. So, yeah, these teams that are together, I think they all match up very well. I mean, yeah, you got Braun Strowman and Ricochet, speed and power there, and size. But you got, speed and power with Alpha Academy, speed and power with the Street Profits, power and somewhat speed with the Viking Raiders. To me, honestly, if I was to go with a winner here, because I do agree this match is going to be good. It will surprise people, especially with those involved. I know people say the Street Profits, but if they are potentially teasing a Montez Ford heel turn, I don't know. Or singles run, I don't know. I mean, they would be the more logical choice. But if the tag team championships are going to go the way people are hoping, at WrestleMania, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say the Viking Raiders. Because you got to give them a big win. I mean, when you repackaged them, you brought back Sarah Logan as Valhalla and all that. You started strong with them and everything. You started strong with them, but you haven't really done much with them afterwards. So I think this is probably the best option you have right now, is having them go over at WrestleMania. So I'm going to go with the Viking Raiders, because if they go the route, I think they're going to go with the tag team championships. Viking Raiders would be the next in line, logically. Okay, so next up we have Rey Mysterio versus his son Dominic Mysterio. I am in total agreement. This is probably one of the best built feuds that we've had in a while, ever since September. And it is done, in a classic way. The, family doesn't want to fight family until they get pushed too far. And I like the fact that it's one of those situations where they basically waited, to at least, a week before WrestleMania. I like that. Now, they could have done it tonight, there's no doubt. But since I think they're doing the match on Saturday, tomorrow, they wanted to basically get it ready and go, as quickly as possible. So, and hold on, guys. Looks like my battery's getting low. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, sorry about that. My battery almost died. But like I said, this basically this has been done in a very classic way. Family not going to fight family until they're pushed too far. And like I was saying, I'm kind of glad that they waited until about a week before Mania to make it happen, make it official. I mean, there was speculation and maybe internal, I should say, that's the word I'm looking for, internal discussion of having it happen, on the night of Hall of Fame, which is tonight. So I'm glad they didn't wait that long, because as I mentioned, I think they already had a plan and set for Saturday, but they just had to confirm it, make it official. So yeah, I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad they actually didn't wait too long to do it, because maybe there's a family junction, happening, on Sunday. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, they got a family event coming up, which is why they're pushing it. They're pushing it to basically they're pushing it forward to Saturday instead of pushing it back to Sunday. That's the only thing I could think of. But Yeah, I think this match will be good. A lot of people are kind of back and forth about who should go over in this match. Um, honestly, if you're putting Ray into the Hall of Fame, you have to let Ray go over. You have to let Ray go over. It's in Los Angeles and everything, so you have to let him go over, in my opinion. But then again, we've had people going into the Hall of Fame, and they would lose basically the following, the following weekend or that following Saturday or Sunday at Mania. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of a back and forth deal, but I would say that if you really want this to be a feel good moment and everything, you have to have Ray go over. You have to have Ray go over, and basically, I think from a storyline perspective, you wanna basically start the crumbling of Judgment Day in its current form. And the best way to do that is have Dominic lose to his father on the same night Rhea wins. Because if you have Dominic lose and then Rhea wins, there's an interesting dynamic there. Like, like let's say Dominic, after he loses his match, he wants to go out there with Rhea, and Rhea's like, no, I don't want you out there. And then maybe she says something that'll indicate she doesn't want to lose her by her side, or something. I don't know. But yeah, this match I think will be good. It might surprise people, so I wouldn't sleep on it, of how good it could be, especially done in a Lucha Libre style. And I'm gonna go Ray. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna go Rey Mysterio here because it is his Hall of Fame weekend, and what better way to cap off a Hall of Fame career than to win at WrestleMania, which potentially is probably going to be his last WrestleMania. So why not let him go out on a high note, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go Rey Mysterio over Dominic, although they could surprise us. They could surprise us, but we'll see. We'll see. And then finally, what many are considering to be the main event of night one, the Usos defending the undisputed tag titles, both Raw and SmackDown, against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. This has had a lot of build for it for quite some time. Up to the end of July. I want to correct people on here because I think this started its build at the end of July, and really just started to take off afterwards, going into the final month of summer and then the fall and all that. So to me, it was the late part of July, in my opinion, where it started to really take off, or really be, have its foundation built, the seeds planted, if you will. And yeah, this has been a great storyline from start to potential finish, with the Usos and Owens and Sami, because the storyline obviously is that Sami wanted to find his place in WWE after WrestleMania last year with Johnny Knoxville. So for him to go to the Bloodline to try to find his place, I think was, in storyline for him was, or in storyline for Sami was basically the best option to try to find his place in the world of WWE. Because we also got to remember, at the beginning of what was it? Not this year, but the beginning of last year, there was talks of him and Owens leaving WWE and simultaneously going to AEW. But obviously they became known as one of the people that were, able to, get through to Vince and, make him realize, hey, we can do a lot more for your company. You just gotta let us. You just gotta let us. So obviously, re-signing and sticking it through is paying off for them, and now they're going to be main eventing potentially tomorrow night, closing out night one of WrestleMania, which I think is great. I think it's great for them to do. I really do. Who do I think wins this match? Well, a lot of people are expecting Owens and Zayn, and I would agree with that. I do. But I don't know. I mean, again, do you really want to end the record-setting reign of the Usos or something? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I mean, here's the thing. If this match in the main event go the way people fear it could go, then what was the point? That would be what, that would be the question at the end of the day. What's the point of going through all that if you're just gonna maintain the status quo, the current status quo, right? And also, if this match in the main event go the way people fear it might, or fear they might, that would be just more justification in their minds of he's back in charge. He's back booking. Da da da. So we'll see what happens. But I will say this. This match is going to be a show stealer. There is no doubt. Storytelling wise, and in ring wise, it's a show stealer. There's no doubt. Which is why I think they're going to put it on last as the main event of night 1. And secondly, I'm going to say that we're going to get new tag champions. And I think it's going to be done because there will be a miscommunication between the Usos, and that will allow both Owens and Zayn to capitalize, and we will have new tag champs as a result. And the storyline coming out of that is it will basically mentally, not physically, but mentally, disrupt Roman a little bit because the Bloodline just lost 2 of their titles. Is he going to be next? So it's going to mentally and storyline mess with him of could he be the next one to lose? But I'm going to go with Owens and Zayn to win, and we're going to have new tag champs. Unless they swerve us, that would be a surprise, but I think we're going to have new tag champs. Now, as far as night 2 goes, first of all, let's get out of the way. Brock Lesnar, Omos. I know a lot of people are thinking Vince is behind this. Again, going back to what I said earlier, I think it's mostly more Bruce. Getting tidbits, getting information from Vince via telephone or text or whatever to, do things the way he would do them because he can't physically, legally be there, if you will, because of the SEC agreement. So I think he was behind this a little bit. So overall, though, I think Brock wins. I think we're going to get about 5. I'll put it this way. I'll be generous, and I would say 10 minutes at most. I say we get 10 minutes, believe it or not, between these two. And I think, and that's not including entrances and all that. So I think we get about 10 minutes between these two. And I think we will get the spectacle of Brock Lesnar lifting Omos up for an F5, dropping him, and getting the win. And you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we have a repeat. This is just me. I say to salvage this, I say not only does that happen, but we get a replay, but this time with MVP in the role, of MVP berating Omos for losing, just like Harvey Whippleman berated Giant Gonzalez for losing to The Undertaker at SummerSlam. Think about it, almost 20 years ago, this August, that moment happened. So why not do that here at Mania, and maybe you turn a monster babyface, in Omos, or maybe you get perhaps you get a monster babyface in Omos. Who knows? So yeah, it'll make it, and I think honestly it would make it more enjoyable, in my opinion, more receptive, because now what you would do is you would have MVP have a reason to gather the Hurt Business back together and go after Omos. Just saying. So I'm going with Brock though to win the match. I really am. Bianca versus Asuka for the Raw Women's Championship. I know the build-up for this has not been the best, and there have been some people that feel that some of Asuka's movements or reactions have been very Vince-like. I'm not going to say they are. I would just say basically it's whoever is booking Asuka that week, because we do see a difference at times. And I think that one time a couple weeks ago where she's dancing with the title like this, I think that was a Bruce move. But every other time we've seen, I think it's more Triple H or maybe a collab between the two. But I think the match is going to be good. I think honestly, single wise, I don't think Bianca's ever beaten her. Even when they were in NXT, I don't think she's ever beaten her. So I'm going to go with Asuka retaining. I mean, not retaining, but winning. A lot of people say that Asuka is doing the Undertaker thing, but in reverse, where she's never won. I think it's the moment she wins. Because as everybody pointed out, this is not Vince McMahon run WWE right now creatively. It's Triple H. And Triple H loves Asuka. So I think Triple H is going to put over Asuka. He's going to give her back a win. And he's going to let her be the Asuka that she's always meant to be, you know, in WWE. I mean, why would they let her go and do the murder clown stuff, or bring that in finally to WWE, you know, the Kana, if you will, if they weren't going to go all the way? And I think they are going to go all the way. And I think what happens afterwards is we get a Bianca heel turn. I do. I know some people are saying, oh, that's not going to happen, and she'll retain because the little girls love her and everything. And it's like, yeah, little girls love her, but guess what? Those little girls are growing up. Those little girls are going to eventually grow up, and they need to see their heroes fall before they get back up. That's the old saying. You have to have a hero fall, you know, before they get back up and, you know, prove themselves again. And I think by Bianca losing to Asuka and going heel, that's her fall, and then eventually you build her back up to her redemption to be a face again, and she learns from those mistakes. Also at the same time, if you're planning to do Montez Ford as a heel, turning his back on Angelo Dawkins, WrestleMania I think couldn't be a better setting to start the build, if you will, the foundation to the build of a new power couple in the company. Just saying. I mean, they both got a reality show as well, so why not go all the way for it? So, with that said, I'm going with Asuka to win, and that's about it. That's about it. And I will say this, I do believe it's going to be a good match, probably more stiffer and harder than expected, but I'm going with Asuka to win. Alright, so what else do we have here? Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship. This to me is hard-hitting at its best. This is going to be basically Sheamus versus Gunther, you know, times 100. Because people look at that match at Clash of the Castle and say that was the greatest Intercontinental Championship match they've seen in a long time. This triple threat's going to top it. Because you got all three men, you know, that are very similar in style. You know, they're very stiff in the ring, you know, when they're allowed to be. And this is going to be one of those situations where they are. And at the end of the day, I'm going with Sheamus. I'm going to go with Sheamus becoming, for the first time, because one thing WrestleMania, and Triple H knows this, Triple H knows this. One thing WrestleMania is always known for is making history. What better way to make history than to have Sheamus win his first Intercontinental Championship and basically become a Grand Slam champion. Because look at this. He's been tag champ with Claudio Cesaro. He's been world champion and WWE champion. He's been U.S. champion. All he needs is now the Intercontinental title, and I think he gets it. I think he gets it. And what will be, to me, one of the matches of the weekend for WWE WrestleMania. So I'm going with Sheamus to win. Sheamus to become Intercontinental Champion. Alright. So next up, make sure I don't miss anything. Okay. So we got the women's Fatal 4-Way Showcase Tag Team match. I think they did indicate that the winners will be getting a shot at the women's tag titles in the future. We have the team of Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez Gonzalez, Natalya and Shotzi, Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville, and Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. I think the easy pick here is Ronda and Shayna, because the way they're portraying them basically is they look at competition like, let's say, Natalya and Shotzi and Liv and Raquel and Chelsea and Sonya, and they look at them like, you guys ain't nothing, you're not real fighters, we're real fighters and we'll prove it. So, you know, so to me, the obvious easy pick has to be Ronda and Shayna, but knowing WWE, they like to swerverse and everything, like the swerverse at times. So my logical pick is Ronda and Shayna, but the swerve pick, in my opinion, I gotta go with Chelsea and Sonya. I really do. So Chelsea and Sonya on one, you know, on one end as the swerve pick, like the one you wouldn't see coming. And because in storyline, it would really play into Chelsea being an annoyance towards Adam Pearce as a Karen, you know, to where she's always like, hey, do you did you know, are you the manager, you this, you that. It's like, that would be this, a victory at Mania with Sonya, another thorn in Adam Pearce's side. I couldn't think of a better way to increase that storyline and make them even more overbearingly annoying than what they are now. So I'm going to, for the logical, obvious pick, Ronda and Shayna. For the, I almost lost my train of thought there. For the, like I said, for the logical, obvious pick, Ronda and Shayna. For the swerve pick, I'm going to go with, Chelsea and Sonya. That's what I'm going with. Alright, so next up, we have Hell in a Cell. Edge versus Finn Balor. Correction. Brood Edge versus Demon Finn Balor. And there are reports going around that Edge will have Gangrel accompany him to ringside. And there's even speculation, believe it or not. Now, this is just one of those rumors that you really have to take a grain of salt with. But there is speculation that we may not just see Gangrel show up with Edge, but we may see Christian. Because think about it, you can't have a Brood reunion, with Edge and Gangrel and not have Christian. So there is speculation that Tony Khan might allow it because it's WrestleMania and everything, and he does like Adam Copeland, Edge. So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, the report is basically that Gangrel is going to accompany Edge in a Brood entrance for Mania against Demon Finn Balor. And you might also have, like I said, Christian accompany him as well. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. There's also speculation that Alter Bridge, who does Edge's theme, currently, or been doing it for the past decade or so, could be at WrestleMania. Well, over a decade, I should say. Been past 15 years, I'll put it that way. There is talk that Alter Bridge could be there to perform Edge to the ring as well. But as far as the match goes itself, I think it's going to be great because one thing in particular is they've brought back the original Hell in a Cell. And we're not talking the more upgraded version. No, not that version. Not the one that's, like, what is it, 30 feet tall, 35 feet tall, 10 times bigger. And then eventually got turned red because Vince and Bruce thought, ooh, red indicates, spectacle and all that and everything. Whatever the case, whatever the reasoning was, that's not there because the video and the reports are basically the original Hell in a Cell is back. And I think the reason it's back is because we're going to have a moment on top of that damn cell. You wouldn't be bringing that back, at this period in time if you weren't going to do something, on top of that cell. The reason, here's the thing, yes, did they climb up the new cell a couple of times, even to the top? Yes. But did they ever fall through it? No. Did they ever get tossed off of it? No. Yeah, Shane jumped off it during his match. Shane McMahon did jump off it during his match with Undertaker. Yeah, that he did do that. But was he tossed? No. None of that happened. Why? Because the drop is more severe. The drop is more severe. Shane agreed to do that spot because, one, he knew he'd be okay. And he's done crazy crap before. Let's not forget what he did at SummerSlam with Steve Blackman, climbing up the trestle on the side of the SummerSlam set before Steve Blackman did boom with this thing, and then shoo, there goes Shane. Let's not forget about that. So to me, they're doing this for a reason. They did this maybe because they can't fit the big one in SoFi. That might be it. But I think they're also doing this because they're going to do something off top of that cell and maybe even through it. So something's going to happen, and I think that's why they brought it back for this match. I think it's going to be a show stealer. Outside of those potential moments, I think it's going to be a show stealer, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait for this match, especially with the entrances and all that, but I cannot wait overall. And this definitely shows you that, Triple H is behind this and all that, because if Vince creatively was behind this, yeah, we'd get a Hell in the Cell maybe, but we'd get the freaking red Hell in the Cell. We know that. We know that. And also, we wouldn't be getting the Demon Finn Balor or Brood Edge. No, we'd just be getting Edge and Finn. If that. or we might even just get Edge and Damian. But we know this is Triple H. It's another this to me, this match here is another example of Triple H, you know, being creatively in charge more so than people want to believe. You know, and again, it does back up my theory that, you know, either it's Bruce Pritchard that's booking some things that are very Vince-like, or as I've said in the previous, you know, videos, I think it's more along the lines that Triple H sees that, you know, sees that Vince might be getting that itch, and might be hearing things from Bruce and Dunn that, hey, Vince is getting that itch again, and Triple H is like, let's throw Vince a bone, and here's Omos and Brock, here's this, you know, just to satisfy him and knowing that he's, you know, and satisfy him basically, and knowing, hey, I'm still getting my kind of stuff here at Mania, so I'm cool with it, you know. So, you know, so to me, that's just my theories as to why, you know, I'm more inclined to believe Triple H is running things, you know, more so than people want to even believe, you know, outside of the whole Vince fear factor, if you will, going on. I think this is why I believe that more so than anything, because of the fact that if it wasn't Vince in charge, I mean, it wasn't Triple H in charge, like I said, we'd be getting a Hell in a Cell, but we'd be getting a red Hell in a Cell, we'd be getting Edge against Damian or whatever. We'd be getting something crazy. So I think this again is just proof to me that he is running things, Triple H is, and that the only reason we're getting Omos and Lesnar and maybe to an extent Trish and Lita at Mania is to throw Vince a bone of, hey, he's getting that itch, he's getting that temptation itch, here, I'll give him this, and that'll soothe his appetite, and obviously it seems to be doing that. But yeah, this match to me I think is going to be one of the matches of the night, and I'm going to surprise people here. I'm going to say, to prove Triple H is running this, I'm going with Finn Balor. I'm going with Finn because if you want to build Finn back up to that main event status, get him to be a potential challenger, you know, if you will, for the undisputed title in the future, then to me he's got to win a big match like this on a big stage, and becoming the winner of the third Hell in a Cell match in WrestleMania history. You know, especially with the return of the old school Hell in a Cell, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So I'm going to go with Finn Balor winning, and I think this will be the step he needs to get to that upper echelon of being champion. But also, to me, this needs to happen to prove that Triple H is running things, and that he only throws Vince a bone here and there to soothe his temptation. Or soothe that itch. Now, the last match, of course, is Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Undisputed Championship. People have been going back and forth on this for quite some time. You know, you look how close Roman is to 1,000 days and how they can market that. You know, it's tempting to want to keep the championship on Roman. I am not denying that. It is tempting. But to me, it's hard to say. I mean, I know people are saying that, you know, Jey Uso is going to play a factor in Roman losing, you know, based on what's going on with the Usos and Owens and Zayn, and that might be true, but I don't know. I don't know. I mean, again, that temptation, they go, you know, you want to get that promotional feat done and everything, you know, but in the long run, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to do that? Do you really want to achieve 1,000 days? You know, to me, storyline wise, you know, it keeps the bloodline relevant, even if they only have the undisputed championship in the possession. You know, it keeps them relevant, but, you know, it also, for Roman, from a storyline perspective, allows him to gloat more and say, hey, somebody that created their own company and came back can't even beat me. Who's left? You know, they could do that. We don't know. You know, I mean, it would be great for Roman to go out and gloat at the fact that, you know, someone who left WWE, created this rival company, and then came back, you know, couldn't even get the job done here like he couldn't get the job done there. I mean, that's a great heelish move to have for Roman to make if he retains. But then again, you got rumors that he might take off time, and it's like, I don't know. Do you want to chance that and everything? It's it's hard to even fathom and everything. But when you look at Cody, Cody is everything they want in a babyface champion, on the same levels almost as Roman as a heel champion. You know, he makes the media rounds. He's very well spoken. You know, he doesn't mind helping to promote this and that. So it makes you wonder. It makes you wonder. It's like, what direction will they go in? And it's to me, this is a match that's a toss-up. And it's a match to me that I cannot predict. I cannot say Cody's going to win. I cannot say Roman's going to win. Because it is one of those situations where it's a toss-up. I mean, yeah, I mentioned that Finn winning Hell in a Cell against Edge in the old school Hell in a Cell and everything is proof that Triple H is running things. And also the step he needs to get back to that, you know, status as, you know, a main event player. And that by doing so, it puts him in line to to challenge for the for the Undisputed Championship. And to me, I don't disagree with that, because if you have Cody win, a heel Finn Balor with Judgment Day is perfect. I mean, yeah, they had a great match a couple weeks ago on Raw, which Cody won, and you can revisit that now, because now Finn would have this momentum behind him of, hey, I beat Edge in Hell in a Cell, and not just any Hell in a Cell, the old school Hell in a Cell. I beat him. I ended his career, or whatever, or at least have him go about that. It'd be perfect. It'd be a perfect, you know, build for him to do. You know, and the same with Dominic. You know, if they want Dominic to go over on Ray tomorrow night at WrestleMania, have Dominic gloat that, hey, I beat my dad clean at WrestleMania. I'm better than him. Thus, I know I'm better than you. And I should be the champ. That could be something they do too. But I don't know. I don't know. The temptation is, to me, the temptation is just too great. You know, to go with Roman as a 1,000-day champion for WWE to pass up. But then again, if he's going away and you got this person that's already proven he's ready to go, you hand him the ball, he's going to score numerous touchdowns time after time. You know, that's tempting too. And again, it makes things hard to book. It makes things hard to book. So right now, I'm just going to say I can't make a choice. I can't make a choice. I'm just going to have to watch like the rest of you and see what they do. If they go with Roman, that means they want to reach 1,000 days. They would go with Cody. That means Roman's taking time off. And then, oh, guess what? They set up Cody with a new, fresh set of opponents and challenges, even if he's faced them already, but in a new kind of direction, if you will, now that he's champion. But we'll see. So I'm just going to wait and see what they do at Mania on Sunday, you know, WrestleMania Sunday, to see, you know, if they go with Roman Reigns, you know, and, you know, continue his reign and go to 1,000 days, which is easy to market, easy to promote. Or if they go with Cody, because, you know, they can, you know, let Roman have his time off and they don't have to worry about a champion not always being there when he should be. So, you know, I'm going to go with Cody. Well, I'm not going to go with Cody. I mean, I would go. Okay, let me correct myself. I mean, what I was trying to say is I would go with Cody if they're going to do that. But I would also go with Roman if Roman's not going to take time off and they want to get to 1,000 days. But to me, again, it's a toss-up, so I'm just going to have to wait and see. And that's pretty much going to do it for my WrestleMania preview and predictions. I know that it's said numerous times that there's going to be a lot of surprises, you know, at WrestleMania. I know Alter Bridge might be one of those surprises for Edge's entrance. What other surprises they might have, I don't know. You know, I know there's rumor and speculation that if they go one way for the main event, that we might see Jay White show up, and that you can have Jay White be not only pushed immediately into the main event, but he could be like the first big challenger to Cody. You know, that might be somebody that shows up. Braun, you know, there's speculation that LA Knight and Bobby Lashley could have a match, you know, depending on what happens tonight on SmackDown in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. And let's talk about that. Let's talk of one of them maybe going out to Mania and making a challenge to someone, and an NXT star making a debut on the main roster, like maybe a Braun Breaker, or maybe the return to the main roster under who they're supposed to be, like what is it, Dijak, what is it, Dominant Dijak, easy for me to say. You know, there might be, you know, Cameron Grimes may make his debut. We don't know. We don't know. There's a lot of surprises and everything. But if I was to, focus on a couple of surprises, I would say one, we're probably going to see Jay White show up in some capacity, whether it's the Hell in a Cell match or it's the main at the end of the main event if Cody wins. I do see Alter Bridge showing up and playing, Edge to the ring. I do see that. And what else? Well, I don't know. I think obviously one of the big surprises we could have, if they have to kill time, is Hulk Hogan showing up, because you can't have WrestleMania without Hulkamania. So I see that maybe. But overall, that's really all I could say on potential surprises and everything. And like I said, if we get Lashley Knight coming out and doing a call out to in a challenge wise, I see either Braun Breaker accepting Bobby Lashley's challenge, and I see Stone Cold, as people are projecting, accepting LA Knight's challenge. And if that happens, that's cool too. But we'll see. We'll see what other surprises besides the ones I've mentioned that they could bring to the table at Mania. But again, guys, that's all I'm going to say on WrestleMania. What my predictions are, my thoughts are. What are yours? Let me know down below in the comments and in the live chat during the premiere. And until next time, guys, I'll talk to y'all later.